we go to the defensive secondary, and it's not like there aren't players there, especially with the huge influx of transfers coming in from places like North Carolina. But in terms of sorting out corner and then safety, where do you think we stand there?
Yeah, well, for most everyone I've talked to, Mark, it seems that the outside corner position opposite Woody Washington is very much up for grabs right now. DJ Graham is the incumbent, but to be quite frank with you, Mark, he got toasted in the Alamo Bowl, got beat repeatedly down the field, looked lost at sea, which was really uncharacteristic of DJ Graham. He'd had a pretty good season to that point, but you have a performance like that to close out a season and you start to worry about how it's going to affect a guy mentally heading into the next year. There was some buzz that maybe DJ Graham would switch sides of the football and play wide receiver, and that was credible buzz. I can tell you that much. That was something that was discussed at one point in time, but he's going to stick it out at cornerback. He's going to be pushed, no question about it, by the likes of CJ Colden, the Wyoming transfer who hasn't yet joined the team but will in June. Joshua Eaton is going to be back in the mix. Trey Morrison from North Carolina, I'm curious to see what ultimately becomes of him because he can play outside corner, he can play nickel, or he can play safety. He's kind of your Swiss Army knife in that regard. And then you've got another transfer from Louisville and Kani Walker, 6'2", 205 pounds. There is a lot of buzz that Kani Walker, despite only seeing, I believe, one game for Louisville last year as a true freshman, there's a lot of buzz that he could make a push to start for Oklahoma at the cornerback position in 2022. So that will be an interesting battle to watch. At safety, Key Lawrence is pretty much locked in as your starting strong safety. Free safety is where things, again, get kind of dicey. I think you'll have Morrison factoring into that battle. Billy Bowman has been moved from nickel to safety, and so he's going to compete for that role. The elder statesman in the room is sixth-year senior Justin Broiles, who, I mean, he barely found the field over his first 4 seasons in Norman, Mark, but came on really strong during the second half of 2021 to the point where you could argue he was maybe the most valuable cog in Oklahoma's secondary over the second half of the season. So that is a guy that's going to be looking to build on his strong second half of his super senior season. Now he's coming back for what I suppose will be called a super senior season. Very few guys get that 6th year of eligibility, but because of COVID-19, Justin Broiles is going to have that opportunity to come back. And here's what I know about Justin Broiles. Nobody has ever questioned that dude's drive, his work ethic, and his desire to get better. He's simply not as much of a physical freak as some of the other guys that he's competing with for that safety position. But what you have to keep in mind is that in Brent Venables' defense, being able to know your role and to execute it effectively matter far more than the physical tools you have at your disposal. That's why you've seen so many players over the years as cornerstones on that defense at Clemson, Mark, where you kind of scratch your head and you ask, how is that guy not only playing football at a place like Clemson, but excelling? And it's because it boils down to intelligence. That's really what it is. Brent Venables' scheme is very complex, very intricate. And so to guys who have that ability and that drive to be able to commit the playbook to memory, know exactly where they need to be in any given situation, and how they fit into the greater picture on defense, those guys are going to ascend to the top of the depth chart. And that's why I tend to think Justin Broiles is at least going to be on the 2 deep at safety. Does he start? I don't know. Maybe that goes to somebody that's more impressive physically, like a Billy Bowman or even like a Justin Harrington, who just rejoined the team after withdrawing from the transfer portal. But Broiles is going to be a factor. Make no mistake about that.
Yeah, guys like James Skalski and Braylon Spector and Brent Venables' own son in the Clemson defense are not combine wonders by any stretch, but you put them on with guys that are, and they play integral roles for defenses that typically ranked in the top 5 to 10 in the country.